an interesting book, actually. It's filled with trivia. It's a South African wildlife trivia book, but it's got the most random facts inside of it. So the one I read this morning, I had a very good giggle about, was about a person that had an intestinal worm that was over 20 meters in length. Now, it's supposed to be about mammals, but then they went into talking about different parasites. So it's quite a random book. It's a book that, if any of you know me, I would definitely enjoy, just because it's got the most random things. I know Jamie likes it as well. She actually carries it with her wherever we go. So I just thought I'd bring it along and see if I could find anything interesting to talk about what we have here. But so far I haven't found any intestinal worms just yet. So no, but it's also keeping my porcupine quill nice and safe, which is what we're on the lookout for next. Is we've sort of digressed now from hyenas. We are still checking, but we thought we'd extend our search just a little bit further this way. Oh, I can see Jamie. Jamie's doing a little reverse. You can see her running away from us at the moment. And let's keep going though. No, Jamie's of course not too far from us. We're going to keep going. We're searching for evidence of porcupine, so I can talk to you about my quill that I've found. But we're going to send you back across to Jamie, who's just over there.
I am indeed just over there, and it's the second time that Tayla and I have bumped into each other this morning. Or I guess I've been doing the bumping into them, because I'm on the vehicle. But I decided, since we've already said hello to the walk team this morning, there's no point in both of us being in exactly the same place once again. I'm turning around and I'm moving to the east. I've driven through the entire block, from where the hyena den is to Treehouse Dam, and I checked every termite mound along the way. The only thing I found was a warthog, and even he disappeared. Even he didn't want to be on camera. I'm starting to take it personally. Now, Yaila, you want to know, how do we know if it's active? Tracks, fresh digging, signs of chewed sticks around the entrance to the den, and that's mostly from the cubs, especially at the age that they're at now, because they are born with fully erupted teeth, but they do go through normal teething processes just like all puppies or kittens or cubs do, and that means that they explore their new world with their teeth, and they chew absolutely everything around a den site. And you've seen the way that the cubs do that. Many of our viewers would have seen the way that the cubs do that. They'll walk up to a random something, a stick or whatever they happen to find, and they'll go and gnaw on it and chew on it. So that's one of the big ways that we search for evidence of hyenas. You should, in theory, see lots of latrines, not at the den site itself, but around it, which I haven't noticed that much of around with our hyenas. I think it might be one of those things where the behavior differs slightly from place to place. Because in certain areas in a desert, so a latrine is where hyenas deposit their scat regularly. It's a massive one on Triple M that I think indicates the border between the Elephant Plains clan and our Djuma clan, or at least no man's land. But in theory, in certain areas like in the Kalahari, the latrines radiate. They're highly concentrated, not at the den site itself. It's unusual for adult hyenas to defecate or urinate at the den. It does happen in situations where they're nervous, but it's unusual. But they radiate out in a kind of a star shape, particularly on the paths that the hyenas use to get to the den. But I don't see that as often around the den sites in this area, unless I just haven't spotted them. Perhaps I need to spend more time walking around the den sites themselves. I think we're just going to have to try. It's too late now this morning. Those cubs will be asleep. They'll be tucked up safely in their tunnels. Ribbon will have moved off somewhere to go and rest. At this time in the morning, the chances of finding them out and about is very slim. Now, spotted hyenas in this area make their den sites in a termite mound. And Rebecca would like to know, how long does it take for a termite mound to be built? It can be the work of decades, Rebecca. So it might take them a year to build a smallish termite mound. Let's say something, okay, this isn't the best example, but it's the quickest one I could find. this isn't really a termite so much. It is a termite mound. It is a system of vents. It's not the best example. It's not what I was really looking for. I was hoping for a nice big termite mound. But here's one hidden behind some bush willows. That could have taken them a couple of months to build, could have taken them up to a year, depending on how big the termite colony is. But some termite mounds are 2 stories high, and they have a circumference that is easily, I would say, let me try and think of a good way of phrasing this in a way that's easily understandable. That would easily be 3 cars parked next to each other. Does that make sense? I think so. That would be the circumference at the base. And those sorts of termite mounds are the work of decades worth of termite building. They're quite quick. If you look after the rains, once we've had a little bit of water, we've just had a bit of moisture, it's nice and cool, you watch the way that the industrious termites start to build on the roads, the little mounds on the roads. That can take them a day. But it's a very poor choice for a place of termite mound because they won't last. Unfortunately, the passage of vehicles means that building they've got a whole wide open space to build a termite mound in. They can't build it in the middle of the road. Those hyena tracks are just taunting me. I'm not looking. I'm ignoring them. And they're going straight back towards the den site. But these are from this morning. Okay, I am looking. Given into the temptation. Now they're all coming from south and they're going north. This is where Tristan had Pretty yesterday on the sunset safari. One of our hyenas. Oh, I've got a bird for you. Since I'm no good at spotting mammals. No, don't you fly away. Some white crested helmet shrikes. John, perhaps you have them on your bird list? Or would this be number 98? Or do we have to try harder? You usually find these helmet shrikes in a bird feeding party, so let's see if we can find you something else as well. I see a woodpecker. Let's try and see if it sticks around. That is a white-crested helmet shrike. And then Ferg, can you see? To the right of the big, very odd-looking dead stump, there is another dead stump sticking out over there, just below the guarri bush, and hopping around. Here we go. If you just zoom in on that guarri bush, I'll tell you where to go. But to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. Okay, and up a little bit. Oh, and it's gone. There it goes. That was a bearded woodpecker. I'm not sure if you're going to count that one, though. I don't think so. All right. Can hear more helmet shrikes. Let's see what else is in this bird feeding party. I think they've all moved off now. There's the helmet shrikes again. Okay, so that was the tail end of the bird feeding party. Worth a try, though. Definitely worth a try. Where should we go, everybody? I've had no luck. I'm going to try and work out where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do next. In the meantime, Tristan has left his adorable squirrels. Let's see what he has planned from here.
Yes, we left our hotel of squirrels. They were having their breakfast. One was feeding on a little nut and the others all went into a hole, so it felt like the right time to leave them and let them go. But we are sort of just looking around Arathusa, just trying to find something else to look at, and I'm going to try and head towards the airstrip. I know, Aaron, you were asking if I can go and try and find there. I know the wild dogs ran that way this morning, so I hope they haven't chased the jackals off, but let's go and have a look anyway. And in terms of that, that's all that there really is. The other updates that I've got is that the dogs went into Londolozi, and then on Little in the Mulawati, and apparently he came from the south, so I think this afternoon will be a really good time to go and look for Tingana around Baboon Pan, Twin Dams, Mulawati area. Maybe he'll have come north towards Djuma. No sign of the royals, so no sign of Husana or Shingile this morning, but their last tracks were also on Little Gari, so hopefully we'll get lucky, and between those three, one of them will make an appearance either late this morning or in the drive this afternoon. But other than that, it's quite quiet. No updates on any other leopards for the western sector, so nothing on Salahe, Shotiani, Anderson, Moya, Nsele, Nchila. No sign of them either, so I think everybody's had quite a quiet start to the day. But you never know, sometimes when you get these sort of wintry feeling days like we have today, it's quite cool this morning, and the sun has taken a while to sort of get any sort of warmth, that animals actually start only moving at around this time. You find that sometimes they've been lying and just sort of staying nice and warm, and now that it's heating up a little bit, you'll find them actually move towards some water or more kind of open, and that's a little bit more kind of open, and so you sometimes get them out a little bit later in the morning. So let's hope that's the case and we'll get spoilt with something incredible. But I was very chuffed with our squirrels. I thought our squirrels were amazing. It's not very often we get to spend so much time with squirrels. Sharon, you're wondering about the giraffe. Well, I've been wondering the exact same thing. Since I've been back, I've only seen a track for one giraffe in the last 2 days, which is quite strange. So I will definitely look out for giraffe. Where we're going towards Arathusa airstrip is a great place for them. So I'll definitely have a little look out and see. Maybe I get lucky and the giraffe will be at the airstrip. But it would be nice to see them. I haven't seen a giraffe in a few days now, so it's always good when the giraffe are around. And also I'm surprised at how few elephants there are, considering how many elephants I saw when I was in the Kruger Park. Earlier I was saying that I saw one of those roan antelope, and when I was in the Kruger Park there was elephants everywhere. So everywhere we drove there was just these big herds and lots of big males, and so I was hoping that it would be the same when we came down here, but they're obviously all up that side at the moment. Then the good thing for us though is that the area that I was in where there were so many elephants is very, very dry in comparison to here. It's not nearly as much rain has fallen there, so it's starting to look like the middle of winter there already, whereas here we've still got a little bit of greenery, and so maybe that will pull the elephants a little bit further south later in the year, and we'll end up with really good elephants in a few sort of weeks time. So Violet, you're wondering if animals in Kruger will move to a warmer area in the winter. Well, no. They don't. So we don't get a winter that's that extreme that the animals have to move. It gets a little bit cooler, but it's not ridiculously cold that animals start to die. So you'll find that most of the animals are pretty much in the same places. You must also remember that a lot of our animals are territorial, so when it comes to things like lion, leopard, wild dogs, cheetah, they all have a fixed area that they move around in, and they very seldom will move out of that. And so if weather was really extreme, you would find that we'd get a lot more animals that would not be territorial. But what you will find is there's a movement of the herbivorous animals, so things like elephant and buffalo, zebra, giraffe, wildebeest. They all move and try and use as much of the resources as possible over the expanse of the park. So the more that they can kind of find in the areas that have had less pressure of grazing during the summer but now hold really good grasses for the winter, they'll move into those sections. So you end up with a situation where, I'm just trying to see, I had a little dwarf mongoose run across the road, which is quite nice, but he's disappeared into the grass. Sometimes if you turn off, then they all come scurrying out into the road, so I'm just trying to see if there aren't some that are going to come out in front. But those animals will then utilize areas that haven't been particularly fed upon, and they'll try and find areas where there's a lot more nutritious grass for the winter months. And so that's why we start to see the buffalo moving into Djuma and into this area in the winter. They've exhausted the resources in Manyeleti and the central parts of Kruger, which are more open plains and receive really good rainfall, and they get great grasses that grow there. And once that's exhausted, they start then coming into these areas and feeding here. So that's the kind of movements that take place. It's not really to do with temperature, but more the availability of food items and water itself. Right, our dwarf mongoose are not coming out, so let's carry on and see. Alright, so we're going to try and see if I can't find these jackals on the airstrip and maybe some giraffe while we're there. And while we do that, I believe Tayla is tracking something that is the largest rodent in Africa and is very, very spiny.
We are indeed looking for a porcupine. However, we haven't found any evidence of a porcupine just yet. We're on Gowrie Main at the moment, and there's a bit of a crime scene that's gone on over here. So if you want to come across and take a closer look, I can then explain further as to what has gone on over here. But if you look on the ground, you can see that there's a lot of, well, there used to be termite structures that were created at night, and we were talking about those earlier and how they can also indicate, of course, the age of a track. But you can see that they've been demolished. Somebody has come through and broken them along this entire stretch of the road. Now, my suspicions is going to go to either a bronze-wing courser or perhaps a thick knee of some sort moving through here, opening up these little tunnels looking for termites. Maybe it was from yesterday, possibly even a hornbill, a yellow-billed hornbill. We have seen them out on these roads many times, and one of their favorite things to eat are a termite, so that's definitely a possibility. But you can see that they're no longer here. They're probably underground, cowering away in fear that something else with a long beak might try and come and snatch them up. Now, Jane, you're not walking, you're talking to me, you're asking a question, of course, and the question is, can African porcupines climb trees? I don't think so. I've never seen a porcupine climbing a tree before, but who knows what they get up to after midnight when we're no longer watching them. But no, I don't think so. They predominantly spend most of their time down on the ground. Maybe they stand up on their back legs sometimes against a tree, but it's not a behavior that I think has been observed quite often. Let's ask Sebastian, have you ever seen a porcupine in a tree before?
No.
I would love to see a porcupine in a tree. Now, of course, there is going to be a few opportunities where you may see one in a tree, and that's, of course, if a leopard catches a porcupine, and it's one of their favorite things, of course, to eat as well. And then the porcupine may end up in the tree, but they have this defense in form of a quill. Now, this quill, unfortunately, has been driven over. Actually, it's not unfortunate, because it's quite nice for us to take an opportunity to look at what it looks like on the inside. So I'm actually going to turn it over. I'm going to pull it apart. Look at that. And also, just by the size of my hands against it, you can see how big it is. So this would have come off from the rump side of the porcupine. I just want to move off the side of the road. There is a car coming. Then we're going to stand and get itchy in the long grass. We'll just take a few steps in. So, of course, we've got this massive porcupine and some porcupine quill, and something like I was saying, you don't often get to see what the fibers look like on the inside. But all these quills are made from is just keratin. So basically, it's hair that has been compressed together. And what it does remind me of, if any of you have got horses and you've ever seen what it looks like after a farrier has sort of done your horse's nails, then you'll know that if I pull bits and pieces of this off, it's actually quite tough. It looks just like it. Look at that. It looks just like the inside of a horse's hoofs. Now, it's actually quite flexible. You can see it's quite bendy, but they are armed with sharp tips. And something that I'm quite curious about is I've got to dig in, put my hand into my pocket and hope that I pull the right thing out. This pocket is the winner. Aha! Pockets full of tricks. I don't just have a box full of tricks. I have a lighter this morning I brought with, hoping to burn something, because I haven't burnt anything in ages, and I want to know what this porcupine quill smells like. So let's see how well it burns. Oh, there we go. Well, you can see it's keratin. Look at it. Listen to it as well. Let's not set my hair on fire, though. And it smells just like if you'd got your eyebrows too close to a fire. If any of you know what that smells like, or in my case, I often end up singeing my hair on a variety of different things, especially when I light my incense in my room. I always burn some part of hair on my body, and it smells just 10 times more intense. And to me, it reminds me of like burnt peanut butter. What does burnt hair smell like to you, Sebastian? Would you like to have a sniff? I'm sure you do. He's not impressed. I think it smells quite nice. So, yes, if any of you have ever done that or singe the side of your hair like some of us pyromaniacs do, because we can't help ourselves. But yes, it smells exactly the same. But quite amazing. So something like this would disappear in the bush quite easily. Look at that, all crumbling away now. Very amazing though, but we're still going to keep searching for some claw marks and hopefully some footprints and diggings of porcupine, and then we'll talk a little bit more about their defense. But before Tristan's animal runs away, he's got some pigs.
We do indeed, Taylor. We have little warthogs on the airstrip, which is their favourite place to be. They like it because it's nice and open, there's lots of nice grazing here, and there's water around that they can go and wallow in when it gets a bit warmer. So it's the perfect place if you are a warthog. And they've got some Impala friends that are their security system, so they'll be looking out for any signs of predators. And so the warthogs can go about their business completely unfazed about what's going on around them. And what it looks like is a mother with her offspring from last year, so the October set of babies that are all just feeding around there, and like I say, taking it very, very easy on this beautiful morning. There we go, there she goes. Hello Mom, well done to raise so many little piglets. It's not easy to raise piglets out here. I've actually seen many leopards hunting the warthogs of Arathusa airstrip. I've seen cheetah hunting them, and lions and wild dogs. So it's to raise warthog babies on this particular airstrip is not for the faint-hearted. So she's done very, very well to have as many as she's got. Oh, that's quite funny. The little baby to the right, Senzo, it's now coming into frame. But there was oxpeckers all over it, and it had a little meltdown about all the oxpeckers and started bucking and sort of bouncing around. I wonder if the other one's going to do it. Let's see, with all the oxpeckers on it, maybe it'll do the same thing. And those two to the right have been full of nonsense this morning. They've been chasing one another. Oh, hello. Toilet time. This is what happens when you are bucking and bronking and chasing other animals. Your bowels start to get moving. And they've been chasing one another around, and there's lots of attitude. The one even was having a little bit of attitude with Mom, which is not clever because Mom is much bigger than what they are and will discipline them quite quickly. And it seems like they've calmed down a bit. I wonder if the birds are going to trigger them to start moving around again. And those are young oxpeckers as well. You can see the impalas that are busy running past and flashing past the screen. So those are all young impalas that are just playing. And there goes our warthog. Look at it go. They got a fright because the impalas were running, so that's why they all ran as well. Very, very cute. I love when they bounce along with their tails up. Right, well, let's go see if we can't find this jackal towards the southern side of the airstrip, and while we do that, let's go across to Jamie, who's got some little dwarf mongoose to show all of you.
I do, and I'm really sorry they're going to disappear in just a few seconds because I'm going to have to move. I'm sitting right in the middle of the main road, and somebody is very clearly quite desperate to get past me. And just hold on 1 second, we're going to have to switch on. Sorry, Bubba. Oh, look, it's nice and brave. Alright, let me just get off the road. No. We'll go back to them. Hold on 1 second. Interestingly enough, there's a lot of alarm calls just to the south on Little Gowrie, which I'm almost certain that's where Hosanna and Shungile are. Unfortunately, that is south of our boundary, so we can't go there, but I'm lurking here just in case they decide to come north. Alright, now of course our little mongoose are going to have vanished, but let's try. I can see the rest of them in that termite mound. I think all of them have left. Oh no, there's one still in the stump. There's one. Let me shift my head out of the way. I think this is a slightly better position. Let me duck out of your way. There we go. My first proper mammal sighting of the morning, apart from a vanishing hyena and a vanishing warthog. And definitely one of my favorites to stop and see. And of course, winter mornings, dwarf mongoose tend to be late risers. They are not morning creatures. Most of us safari guides are morning people, but dwarf mongoose are not. And they like to wait until it's much warmer, and they can... Yes, I know! What are we? Have that little body language. Look at those bright brown curious eyes. So for our new viewers, these little chaps are roughly from nose to tip to tail about the length of my forearm, and they weigh around about 300 grams. So the smallest of our mammalian members of the order Carnivora. And you've got something dangling from your lip. When you crawl around in logs and termite mounds, you tend to acquire spider webs, which then sticks all sorts of other things onto your fur. They look so pretty and shiny. Look at the curiosity in this body language. I'm gonna run forward. I'm gonna run forward a little bit more. What is this? Is it a threat? Can I eat it? Can I play with it? Little nose twitching away. You might notice a few heat haze waves that's coming up from Wendy's bonnet. It was the only way I could position myself. So if you've noticed that your picture appears to be a bit wavy, that's because Ferg is filming over the top of the bonnet, and Wendy's feeling warm this morning, unlike the rest of us. Come on. Look at that change in body language. Sally in Oregon, you say such cute little faces. Absolutely irresistible, are they not? But don't be fooled. Anyone who's ever been bitten by a mongoose can tell you just how sharp their teeth are, but they are sweet. There's something, I think it's their ears as well. The funny little ears that they have positioned so close to their heads. Everything about them is designed to be sleek and able to disappear into tiny bolt holes if they need to. Let's see how they respond. Just to generic squeaking noises. I'm not particularly well versed in Dwarf Mongoose, but I can make squeaking sounds. There are the rest of them at the back there on the termite mound. And MJ McNull, do you want to know if Dwarf... or they could not be there. Where'd they all go? Oh, there's one a bit to the right, Ferg. Underneath that apple leaf. A bit further to the right. Oh, there... And it's gone. MJ McNull, do you want to know if Dwarf Mongoose or Mongoose have good eyesight? They do have good eyesight. They've also got, more importantly, a very, very good sense of smell, which helps them to find things like buried grubs underneath the surface of the soil. But they do have good eyesight, and anyone who's ever seen a Dwarf Mongoose keeping watch and spotting a bird of prey from miles up in the sky can attest to that. They're very geared, obviously, towards movement. And they do also have a natural curiosity, which is why sometimes if you have the time and you sit still, you can get them right up next to your vehicle, or even approach them on foot. They habituate quite quickly, particularly the Dwarf Mongoose families that live on main roads, because they see vehicles coming and going all the time. And they've learnt that we're not a threat. Time to go. I'm off to search for breakfast. Unfortunately, going in the direction... Oh, wait, hold on, Ferg. Sorry, over there. There's a remaining pair. But down a little bit there. There we go. There we go. Here's the late riser. Looking deeply insulted that I called it a late riser. It's going to go off in search of insects. There we go. And that's that for our Dwarf Mongoose. I don't think we can try and follow them down, but I think in this dip we're going to lose our signal. This is where gremlins attack, down in the Mulwati. Have the leopards popped out yet? No. I tried. Oh, we found a small mammal, but Tayla's out on foot, which is the best way to search for the small things.
We are indeed, but the small things are proving to be, well, few and far between at the moment. We can't even find any diggings from, I was going to say a scorpion, but I was wanting to say a porcupine. I have found an insect that I have absolutely no idea what it is at the moment, but it is shining the most beautiful bronze and gold colors as it sits on this piece of grass. Now, it's got very, very powerful hindquarters or back legs, as you may be able to see. Can you see it? So I wonder if it jumps. I don't know if it jumps. It's got the body of a grass assassin, however, it doesn't look like an assassin with any other part of it, particularly those legs. And also, I didn't see a very sort of round proboscis, so we need to try and identify this. So if you can take some screenshots, that would be great. Hashtag Safari Live, so we can have a look at them, or perhaps some of you already know what this is. You can let me know also with your answers. Hashtag Safari Live. It would be great to hear that. Look at it. It's amazing. It's like a combination of a cricket. Do you see how it's looking for another spot to put its legs on? Oh, I'm so sorry. I just let it go. Let me try this again. Let's put the book down. This is what happens, of course. And let's bend some of this grass. Hopefully it doesn't leap. No, it's just flown. Okay, well, that's the end of that insect. It can fly. Not only does it have big legs, but it can fly too. So we'll keep going and see what else we can find. But a weird looking thing. Very, very pretty colors for this time of the year. Definitely had great camouflage with those sort of bronze and gold colors. And then the underside looked to be a little bit more on the reddish side. So that blends in quite nicely with a lot of the grasses, especially as they're starting to turn a yellow color. Let's check these sennas that are still flowering. Maybe, if we're lucky, we'll be able to find something on here. I can see a spider's web just in over here, but I can't see a spider to go with it. Where are you? Maybe it's just hiding underneath some of the leaves, but a beautiful web nonetheless, very orb shape. So it could be from any one of the orb spiders that make those round ones. Now there are hundreds and hundreds of different spiders in the orb-web family, not just in South Africa but all over the world too. So that's really pretty. But other than that, the culprit that made the web doesn't seem to be around. Let me get a higher view. No, I cannot see it. So it's obviously hiding underneath these leaves, which is quite typical of behaviors of spiders that do live in webs. The sun can get a bit hot, and sometimes it's nice to go out and look for a bit of shelter. And then if you build your house on a tree, well, it's actually quite easy, of course, to do that. Let me go around this way. Let's have a look this side and over the top. At one point, these senna plants were filled with an abundance of insects. But it seems as though no more. And they don't really smell very nice too. I always find that white flowers smell the best. These ones don't particularly smell like anything. A little bit like this remind me of daisies, but also there's so many different types of flowers in the Asteraceae family. Right, what else? I'm looking. I can hear flies buzzing. Now where are they sitting? Sometimes flies will also sit up here on the trees too. There's one. It's actually just landed near you on the underside of this flower. There is a little fly just sitting there. Can you see it? Is it there? Ah, fantastic. All the flies are trying to get me, so they keep landing. Oh, what was that? Something just dropped off of that flower. I wonder what it was. Maybe it could have been a defense mechanism of a spider. Perhaps it had felt that it had been spotted. And normally spiders will do that. They'll tuck their legs into their bodies, let go of their webs, and drop to a lower part of a branch, or even right down to the ground. There's a bumblebee that came through there. And then that will be able to escape. Right. Not even any crab spiders. Maybe if we find any Venonias, we'll see those beautiful white crab spiders. Oh, we've got a hairy field spider on a Venonia. Not quite the crab spiders that I wanted to show you, but just in the center of that Venonia, you can see a beautiful little spider, and we've been seeing loads of them. Also in the orb-web spider family. Is it hard? Let me put my finger there for you. But we have been seeing lots of them, and this one's not particularly scared of me either. I'm not going to poke it. Let me know when you've got it.
Yeah, I've got it.
There we go. So quite small, much smaller than the size of my little pinky, and this one hasn't got any breakfast yet. Now I wonder, because there's normally so many crab spiders that have been sitting on these Venonias, I wonder if a crab spider got stuck or got too close to this hairy field spider's web, if they would eat each other. Oh, Megan, can you please go again?
I think she said nice.
Nice. Oh, I thought I didn't quite hear what was said there for a moment. But very, very cool nonetheless. Right, let's see what else. Let's keep checking. There's lots of Venonias that grow along here. Oh, who have we got there? Is it a little bumblebee? There's quite a few of them.
Oh.
They're buzzing. No, 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 go back to the flower. They don't want to go and land on the flower, but they're past us, ducking and diving and all those types of things. so not too many things on the flowers anymore. Even the butterflies seem to be getting less and less, but we're going to keep searching. I think we're going to go up Weaver's Nest now. Tristan's on his way back from Arathusa. Let's go see if he's had any luck.
Unfortunately, no luck. No jackals, no giraffe. It's all going awry this morning. All our plans have been completely blown out the water by the animals this morning, but that's okay. You have to have days like this to make you appreciate the good days. So sometimes a little bit quiet, but we have had good sightings of the squirrels and the ground hornbills, and it's just been actually a very pretty morning to be out. Now, interestingly enough, Joshua, earlier you were asking me about the mating leopards, so if you are still watching, you might find this quite interesting. But Tingana, I was saying earlier, is on Little Gowrie, but apparently he's with an unknown skittish female. Now, there is no unknown skittish female that should be anywhere near Little Gowrie, because we know of all the leopards around there and it's quite far in. So that is very interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same female that was involved in that mating pair around sort of Cheetah Cutline. And who knows, maybe, because when I spoke to Tayla the first time she told me about those tracks, she said that there was tracks for another male, so maybe that's where Tingana and Djuma kind of met and they found this female together, and there was a little bit of a tussle and a tiff, and Tingana maybe ended up being the winner of those spoils. But quite interesting that there's a different female. I'm hoping somebody got some photographs and we'll be able to then see, and maybe there'll just be a new female in the area, which could be quite interesting, given that we haven't seen Karula for so many weeks. I wonder if it's now already starting to show that some females are starting to expand and move into these areas. It could of course just be one of the females that we know that the guys are just getting, guys are just unaware of who it is. Could also be, but hopefully there'll be some photos coming out of this all a little bit later. I'll try and see if some of the guys that I know that have been to that sighting to post some photographs or send them to us so that we can see who this unknown female is. But it is very, very interesting, and it doesn't bode well for Shongile. If there's an unknown female in the area that's at mating age, it's not ideal for Shongile. She's going to probably have to move a little bit, and I wonder if that's not going to be good for us in a way, because it might mean that Shongile starts pushing back northwards into Vuyatela, and we start to see a lot more of her again, because she's been spending so much time on Little Gowrie that maybe this sort of new female might then push her back up into our area, and she can then settle down more on the Djuma side than in Little Gowrie, which would be good. So interesting times ahead, I would imagine. We see it all ourselves. That would be the better sort of way to see things. Well, there are tracks for a few elephants around here, but they don't look too fresh. Quite a few vehicles have driven over it. But let's see, maybe they're going up towards Treehouse Dam. I'm going to go try and check that area and see if I can't find any sign of them. It seems like some of them have come into Djuma, so let's have a look. Might just get lucky. I also came into this area just to try and see if there's any fresh signs of Shadow and the cub, but so far there is nothing. And you can see the elephants were here. If you have a look to my left, I'll go back a little bit. Now that is supposed to be a road, that is supposed to be drivable, but as you can see there's just broken branches everywhere. So some elephant had an absolute field day with these silver cluster leaves and broke them all apart and left them on the road for us to now clean up. Thank you very much, Mr. Elephant, that's very kind of you. And on our right hand side it doesn't get any better. As you can see, there's more destruction on the right hand side too. So wherever these elephants are, they were certainly having... Now I can hear something ahead of us that I want to try and go and investigate. It sounds like a buffalo. I wonder if there isn't a little sneaky buffalo herd around. That might be quite nice. But it sounds a very strange sound. It doesn't quite sound like a buffalo. I'm a bit unsure as to what that was. But it was somewhere in front of us here, so let's go and have a look and see. And while we do that, let's go across to Jamie and see how her morning is going and whether or not she's had more... So Jamie's signal is low, so we're not going to go to Jamie, we're going to stay with us. Okay, now let's just turn off and see if we can't hear that sound again. Senzo, did you hear it? Or was I going crazy? sounded like a bellowing sound, which sometimes buffalo make when they're moving along and they bump each other and they kind of give this sort of grunt. But it's gone quiet now. I don't hear it anymore. But we do have some Senegal lapwings on our right hand side here that we can have a look at while we listen and try and work out what's going on. You can see them, they're just in the grassy areas, which is typical of the lapwings. They like these kind of open sections. You often see them on the airstrips and quarantine, you'll find them as well, and sandy patch. So wherever it's open ground that they can see what's going on, you'll find lapwings in those areas. And the reason why we know it's the Senegal lapwing is just from that white sort of chest, that grey back, grey legs, and the little yellow eye ring that you see there with the grey chest. There's no other lapwing that looks like that, but they really are very pretty birds. Oh, hello. Are you doing a little bobbing for us? It's getting warmed up for this evening shenanigans. In South Africa we have a sort of saying that Thursday is called Pooza Thursday, which means drinking Thursday. So it's often where a lot of the students will go out and have a big party, and so maybe our Senegal lapwings are stretching and getting prepped for their night out on the town this afternoon. Here we go. What are you doing? If it is a male, the female is very far away and is not paying any attention to him whatsoever. She's got her back to him, so his bobbing up and down is making no sense whatsoever. If it is trying to display to the female, you will have to try harder, buddy. She doesn't look at all interested. Right, so let's carry on. The sound is gone, so I'll try and see, and just, there's a little mud wallow up ahead. Maybe they might be there. I know Tayla had tracks for buffalo going towards Treehouse Dam, and we are a little bit further west of that, but there is a little mud wallow, so maybe those buffalo have come this side and we'll find them here. Otherwise we'll go and check towards Treehouse Dam for those elephants. That might be a good option as well. It was a very strange sound. It sounded a bit buffalo-ish, but it might not be. It might have been something else. I might have just misheard. It's quite difficult sometimes when you got this earpiece in your ear and talking to actually hear what is going on. Sometimes it's a little bit tough. But no, nothing at this little mud wallow. So let's go towards Treehouse Dam and check if there's not something there. So more tracks for hyenas on the road. Alright animals, it's now time to come out and show yourselves. It's warmed up, everything is perfectly aligned for you to come out, so hopefully they will. We've got to send good vibes into the atmosphere and into the bush so that they come out for us. Right, so while we go towards Treehouse Dam and see if there's anything there, let's go across to Miss McCurdy, who I believe is definitely warmed up, that she's been on foot this morning and walking quite a long distance.
We have been, and I also have a case of the hiccups, so I'm just going to apologize now if you do hear me making strange noises. They will not go away. Herbie has said to me that I need to drink ash and water. I'm not sure if I'm going to. Now I'm digging in my pocket again as I hiccup once more, because Herbie's just pointed out a beautiful milkweed, which is something that we don't actually get to see too much of. And oh, no, maybe let me unweave this from the little buffalo thorn, but you can see the plant is actually still quite intact. You can see the leaves, you can see the little seed pods just developing here. Now, unlike the Deuterostramonium, or the stinkblader as it's also known, this one is not prickly when you touch it. The seed pod of a... Sorry, I've got these terrible hiccups and they won't go away. With a Deuterostramonium, you wouldn't be able to touch it with your fingers. But you can see as soon as I did touch there's a bit of milky latex coming out. Now, that's typical of plants to warn you that they are toxic and you shouldn't touch them. Now, milky latex. This is proving to be quite interesting, trying to get my words out with hiccups. You wouldn't want to get it into your eyes. It's not quite as dangerous as the milky latex from a euphorbia, but you definitely wouldn't want to eat it. But what is nice, and I want you to watch very carefully and how quickly the cotton from this plant, I don't know if it's really cotton, but it's beautiful fibers and it feels lovely and soft like cotton. But watch what happens. As quick as quick as that, it's gone. And I've told you before that when the European settlers first arrived down in the Eastern Cape, you see a lot of milkweed, and they would actually use this to help get their fires started, and you can see why. But now it is smouldering, so I do need to just make sure that I put it out completely, and there's a little bit left in there, so we shall just burn the rest of it. Yes, burn. I love the smell of this. It smells nice. I actually like the smell of burning plants and elephant dung. Now, you wouldn't want to get too close and inhale these fumes. And this would be alright, and the seed pod is pretty much dried out, so there's not very much latex in it. Let me just put this down here. I'm going to I've dropped my book, I've dropped my porcupine quill, stomp that out so it doesn't start a fire. So it'd be quite difficult to start a fire now. But yes, don't breathe in smoke. Of course, it's got a milky latex. Now, Mike and Michelle, you want to know what kind of tea does elephant dung smell like? What? I'm confused. Please can I have that question again? I obviously didn't read it out correctly, but we have got elephant dung here, and hiccups still. Sorry, Megan, please can I have it again? You just want to know what it smells like? What kind of smell? Okay, I don't know. I think I know what you're trying to say, but yes. So one of my favorite tricks to do, of course, in the bush is elephant dung. I love it. I'll use it for everything. I don't know how nice tea would be to make from elephant dung, so I don't know if I do that. However, what you can use is, because it is, the digestive system is so terrible, and you can see all the bits of plants and things that are in here. When it dries out, like this one has, it's probably a few weeks old, it becomes quite easy to burn, and it's a great repellent, mosquito repellent, fly repellent. I used to use it for the tsetse flies in Zambia, so perhaps Brent is going to have to use my little technique to keep the tsetse flies away from him. Oh yes, Lou's reminded me. Lou said that apparently a few shows ago I said that elephant dung smells like some kind of tea. You know what? It just smells, it doesn't quite smell like rooibos or the red bush tea. That's quite sweet. I don't know what type of tea it smells like, because it depends on what the elephant has eaten. That would change up the smells, of course. Maybe one day they're enjoying, I don't know, eating panicum maximum grass, and then the next day they go, oh, we're going to have a few silver cluster leaves, you know, because we're not on a diet anymore, something along those lines. And that, of course, could change the smell of the dung. But today, this one smells like, this stings the nostrils, but it's good for headaches, so maybe I should keep inhaling it. I don't know how to describe the smell today. It just smells like burning a pile of leaves. If you were to do that, get rid of all the moribund. I know some of you at home, or if you live on farms, you do your own little burning to get rid of all your refuse and all the unwanted plant material. It sort of smells like that. It doesn't have a particularly tea smell today. So I suppose, like I said, it's got something to do with what they're eating that will change up the smell of this dung. But it is really good. It's fantastic to keep bugs at bay. It's really nice. And perhaps when I get the opportunity to go up to Kenya, the tsetse flies love to bite me. I'm going to have to try my contraption of an old jam tin, poke lots of holes in it, and hang it from the roof of the cars, and then yes, put this in and let it smolder away very slowly, sort of like what it's doing now. Because tsetse flies are a nightmare. They're one of their favorite colors, and they always say to you, don't wear blue or dark colors when you go on safari, because tsetse flies like those colors, and they'll bite through jean material. Can you believe that? Straight through you get a full bite. They are nasty critters. It's like being bitten by a horsefly times 10. It's really, really quite painful. Let me put this out as well. And I was just saying today how the flies have actually been quite terrible. They've been biting quite a bit. I think it's just because of all the warm air. And let me dust all of this off. My hiccups are gone now too, by the way, which is great. So I don't know what got rid of them. But maybe the smoke, maybe the fact that it felt like my nostril was going to fall out of my nose. I've also now tied my jersey around my waist because it acts as a handbag. I can now store many different things. So if I was being annoyed by the flies that are biting today, I can of course take a guarri branch, swat away, and then when I don't want it anymore, I can just put it into my little, I suppose, my bag. And it's like the equivalent of James's little moon bag that he takes when he goes on a walk. So we can do that. What else could we put in here? Now, May Dragon, you're wondering what books are more reliable, if that's correct, than using the internet? There are so many different types of books out there, and if you speak to any one of the do I find? Yes. I apologize. I don't know what's wrong with me today, but I can't hear anything that's being said. But do I find books more reliable than the internet sources? Yes and no. Unfortunately, there aren't very many books available to us that have research papers in them, if that makes any sense. So sometimes the interweb is quite useful for that. For very sort of recent theories that have been put out to the world, they often get put onto the net as well, and you can have a look at them. Especially if you've got access to a sort of university files, a library from a university, that's very helpful. The books are just great to have because there's not always internet everywhere, and if you are trying to look up something, and if you ever come to visit us at Safari Live and you have a look at the cars, you'll notice that there's a big black box that most of us keep with a whole lot of books. So we take books on Game Drive with us all the time. You've seen us, we use the Bird apps on our phones. You can get all those things on your phones now too, but batteries die, of course, so I like to take books out on Safari with me. So books, I think, are very, very important, but in terms of finding out what the latest research and theories are, the World Wide Web is probably where you're going to get your quickest source from. It takes ages, of course, for books to be put out into print, and it could take a couple of years before you can get that information. So yes, I suppose I use both almost exactly the same. I think maybe I use books a little bit more. But what we're going to do now is we're going to send you across to Jamie. I think Megan has said something along the lines of dwarf mongoose, and I know that's Jamie's one of her favorite animals.
It's definitely one of my favorite animals, and they were being so cute. They've now all vanished off the road. There is a certain inevitability to that. Luckily, we've still got Sentry over there, keeping an eye on what we're doing, and I'm hoping the babies are going to come back out once again and start or resume the games that they were playing in the middle of the road. They were having so much fun. They were all wrestling with each other and jumping around. Come on, guys. I don't know what gave them a fright. There was a sudden alarm call from one of them, and the rest of them dashed back into the safety of the long grass. And the adults are, oh, there we go, slowly coming out. The adults are a bit more comfortable. They don't seem too concerned, but there are some very young mongoose with this group that are slightly more nervous. They've obviously only just started coming out with the rest of the family and foraging with them. Come on. I think they're listening to the testiculars. And the testiculars, I think, are alarm calling at us. And it's made the mongoose a little bit more nervous. They've got to listen to all of the sounds around them, and they've learned to interpret the sounds of not just their own kind, but also birds and squirrels and anything like that. And you'll find the response is immediate from these little creatures. There we go. Getting more comfortable. Woof. Here we go. All coming back out now. Our candy, yes. Dwarf mongoose do eat snakes, particularly the smaller species. They are tiny. They are slightly more wary of the larger species, but they do mob snakes to try and get rid of them. And we've actually seen some amazing sights on our live safari. There was one in particular where there was a massive spitting cobra that was slithering about close to a mongoose den site. And the adults were all frantically moving the little ones as quickly as possible from one den site to a safer one. So they do eat snakes, but they also fall victims to certain species of snakes. And things like a cobra would absolutely enjoy a dwarf mongoose for breakfast. They have been so wonderful over the last few days. They've just been so incredibly playful. They're wrestling, and there's one of them digging a little bit up to the right, Ferg, in a pile of elephant dung. It's just run back in. Oh, I'm going to reposition. The heat waves coming off the front of this vehicle, making me slightly concerned about Wendy, because it's not exactly hot this morning, although it seems to be okay. Here we go, that's all right. Now they've picked a perfect place because there's a whole load of elephant dung, old elephant dung, and they're going to be searching for grubs. Let's quickly go over to Tayla and we'll be back shortly.
So just as we left you, there was a bird that was chirping away. Have a little listen. It might be quite difficult, so crank your volume up. Isn't that beautiful? Now that is the song of a white-browed scrub robin, and it is so gorgeous and so sort of perfectly sitting up on this branch. Now normally it's quite difficult to do, of course, birds on bushwalk, but Sebastian, my goodness, you definitely have got a very steady hand. You should have been a surgeon. I think you're in the wrong career. Now that bird's sitting quite far away from us, but it is lovely, and we had another amazing sighting the other morning. I was with Sensor at Vuyatela Dam where we were listening to the call of a white-browed scrub robin, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a little bit of a different call compared to this. Now there's two of them. See how he keeps changing? There's this one and there is another one in the distance responding. So perhaps it could, I don't know if it's a duet. It could be a duet. Maybe it's a territorial call, sort of just announcing its presence. Actually, I think it's a duet call. Yes, it's a duet. There's one calling, responding with a different tune from behind us. That is beautiful. See how he's changed?
His code is different, yeah.
Off he goes. He's responding to the call and actually flying down into the drainage system now. That was so cool. Really, really nice. But that's the end of that bird sighting. I know that Jamie is still sitting with those mongoose, so let's go back to her. Go again, Megan. I thought that was a cameo.
And we are back with our dwarf mongoose once again. And how wonderful was it that Tayla managed to get a white-browed scrub robin on camera. Also, if you're Jamie, known as Scrubbin. For some reason, that's one word that saying scrub robin seems to be beyond me at times. Though we've repositioned ever so slightly just to get a better view of these dwarf mongoose, and they're slowly but surely becoming more comfortable with us. Little heads poking out. Oh, cute Ferg, look. Sorry, distraction. Ferg. Just quickly, sorry. We'll come back to our dwarfies, but just look at the family of Crested Franklin that have just come out. Complete with little ones. Very common to see them together with dwarf mongoose, foraging around similar areas. There they go. 1, 2, 3 little chicks that I counted. Well done, Crested Franklins. And there they go. Their confidence and comfort with us has lent the mongoose extra courage, and they're now popping out once again. What you doing? Into chasing Franklin. Oh, zip, and gone. Come on, little ones. I know you're still there. I've got one brave soul that's come out into the road next to us. And once one goes, the rest of them will as well. Here we go. Hi, guys. Here's a little one coming out to greet an adult. They're not that young. They've probably been roaming about with the rest of the family for a few weeks now, but they're still little. Oh, have a big stretch, scratch your belly. I think it must be quite nice to be a dwarf mongoose. We've got company, late mornings. Really, all in all, I think it's quite a good life. big family to look after you. Now, Tim, you want to know at what age do they start standing up? Oh, is that? No, it's not. Do they start standing up on their hind legs? I've seen baby dwarf mongoose as young as 4 weeks old do it. They don't necessarily, now bear in mind, dwarf mongoose don't necessarily assume the sentry position in the way that mongoose do for as long as mongoose do. And that's in the more arid areas where meerkats occur. Talking utter nonsense. Meerkats assume a sentry position. Goodness. Dwarf mongoose don't do it as frequently or for as long a period of time, but they do it, and especially the alpha male will take responsibility for keeping an eye on his family and watching out for predators. But I've seen young mongoose do it at 4 weeks old. As soon as they start to come out of the den site, they might not be very coordinated, and they do topple over every now and again. But everyone will take turns keeping an eye out for potential predators. What have you got there? Did you find something? You can see it's still got a baby face. Not quite as sharp as the adults. That's a stick. What are you trying to get there? That's a stick, you silly thing. I wonder what it smelt. It must have smelt something. It's nice to sit and observe these creatures doing this, because next time you see a track that looks like this, we'll be able to identify it as a place where a mongoose stopped to dig. Let's see if it gets anything. It's reaching right down. Obviously getting closer because the digging's becoming more frantic now. What have you smelt? Or is it just... given up. That's not how it works, little one. You can't just give up as easily as that. Someone else will come and take your place. There's always hungry mouths to feed. Mongoose chasing its own tail and its own foot. Mrs. Zero, while we watch the little ones play, you want to know if mongoose will mate for life. Not really, no. They do have an alpha male and an alpha female in a group, and they will sort of rule the roost, so to speak. They will be the ones that breed with each other and the ones that produce healthy little babies. But that doesn't mean that you don't occasionally, because females will still come into estrus, and the alpha male is not necessarily always faithful to his partner. He could easily mate with another female in estrus. Her babies don't often survive, though. The alpha female does not appreciate the presence of babies from anyone else but herself, and she will actually go and actively kill the pups from another female. But they're not completely monogamous, no. But they do live in alpha pairs with the rest of the family, basically dedicating themselves in a way similar to wild dogs, dedicating themselves to protecting the offspring. Sometimes you get situations where there's a territorial battle, because dwarf mongoose are territorial, and whilst they're very friendly to each other, they do fight with each other. And they fight fiercely for territorial rights. And in situations like that, which you sometimes see both with dwarf and with banded mongoose, is one of them will sneak off. A female in estrus will sneak off in search of a young male from the opposing group in something, I imagine, something akin to West Side Story. But perhaps I'm slightly anthropomorphizing it. I don't think dwarf mongoose dance. But the female will sneak off and try and mate with one of the males while the rest of her family is warring with another family. Perhaps Romeo and Juliet style. No, I think West Side Story fits better. Here we go. See how nicely it works out when there's a little bit of patience. And we've got the little ones playing and scuffling over each other. Ouch. I wouldn't want to get bitten by those teeth. They are razor sharp. Tolerant adult. Or perhaps not so tolerant. I never realized dwarf mongoose chased their tail up until this morning. I've seen 3 separate mongoose chase their own tail. That was beautifully timed. It was very well coordinated. Some talking happening. It'll be very difficult for you to hear because the squeaks of a dwarf mongoose are so soft. They're just little contact calls with each other. Look at them, they're all having so much fun. This apparently is the best place to be. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 of them, all gathered together in this one patch, all having the best time ever. It's so sweet. They're playing like puppies, don't you think? There's this huge similarity to the way that puppies play with each other, rolling on their backs, putting their paws in the air. Beth, sorry, I didn't quite fully hear your question the first time, but Beth wants to know how much damage do mongoose and other diggers cause? A negligible amount. Honestly, they hardly cause any damage at all, especially something as small as a dwarf mongoose. Yes, they'll catch lots of insects during their day, but, I mean, this whole ecosystem has evolved in a way that it's in such a perfect balance that it doesn't damage the insect population. It all fits together really very well. Aardvark and porcupine, those are other creatures that also dig, and because they're slightly larger, particularly porcupine, they could eventually end up killing a tree because they dig down and they chew on its roots. So there's a situation where they do a little bit more damage. If you are talking about Brent and myself's house in Hoedspruit, well, that's a different story. There's 2 banded mongoose that live in the suburb and that were brought up and raised by hand. Now, our doors were, to say they were termite ridden would be putting it mildly, and they were due to be replaced regardless, so it doesn't matter too much. But the banded mongoose came in and decided to go about the process of basically breaking our doors apart, digging for scorpions in the rotten wood, and they had a whale of a time, so much so that our doors are currently blocked up with cooler boxes and bricks until the new doors arrive. But I don't think, Beth, that was the damage that you're referring to, nor is it damage that particularly bothers me, because they were on their way out anyway. But I was impressed at just how big of a hole they made in all 4 doors to all 4 bedrooms while I was away. I have to say, when I heard that Tayla was on the search for porcupines, I was very impressed with her tenacity, but apparently she's decided to give up on that search for now.
We have indeed, Jamie. We've been searching, looking along the roads, trying to find some porcupine evidence, but sadly the only thing that we found, of course, was the quill that was located near the hyena den. Other than that, I think the best place to go and search for porcupine evidence is, I think, on Inyala Road South, but unfortunately we're way too far away, so we'll have to give that another bash. But Jamie, you were saying earlier that not only can mongoose cause quite a bit of destruction, but so can the porcupines, and I must agree, anybody that's lived out in the bush for long enough will quite know that the largest rodent in Africa is a messy eater. They will topple over rubbish bins. They will dig up all sorts of things. And a common myth that a lot of people will often actually ask us as guides, and Ryan, you were wondering this morning, can porcupines shoot out their quills? And the answer to that is no. They haven't got this mechanism that allows them to propel their quills as torpedoes. I think I'd be a bit nervous of a porcupine if they could do that. So they can't. So the only reason that these quills come out is because they're not particularly deep into the skin. So they can pull out pretty easily. And that, of course, is very important if something like a hyena, leopard, a lion, or whatever it may be that's trying to eat it, tries to attack it, was that they would get a big prick to the face. It's actually quite hard to pull them out of your own skin, but it would go inside, and this part of the quill would pull out fairly easily, and it wouldn't really hurt the porcupine at all. And then, of course, the predator gets a whole lot of quills stuck in their face, because you can imagine if they didn't come out very easy, it would be quite awkward to have a porcupine and a leopard sort of stuck together, because that's what would happen with the amount of quills that can go into the faces of inexperienced leopards, lions, or hyenas. And I wonder if a porcupine, where this quill came from, didn't go wandering in near the hyena den, and perhaps they got a little bit curious and maybe shook it a little bit, and a couple of quills sort of fell off. But this is a particularly big one, maybe an older one too. I didn't see any blood or anything on the ends of it, so I don't think that it did get jabbed into anything. But yes, you got to be careful of them. You don't want to end up on the wrong side of a porcupine. They can get quite big too. They can weigh quite a bit, and they sort of let's see how tall. Now, I reckon that a porcupine with all of its quills probably stands to about my knee, and probably about that wide. So quite big creatures. And Anna Marie, you were wondering if a porcupine would injure a leopard if it did try to catch it. 150% correct. However, I know there's a couple of leopards, and particularly in the Kruger National Park, they're famous for taking on porcupines. And I think there's a technique to catching a porcupine, and that technique, of course, is being almost able to get your paw underneath and flipping the porcupine over. I've never seen it happen. I've just seen lots of footage, and that's so they hook underneath, turn it over. There's not really any quills underneath its body. It's a soft spot. Then they can of course go straight for the throat and kill it that way. But if they do get on the wrong side, you will end up getting yourself into a whole lot of trouble. And many lions and leopards end up dying from injuries sustained from a porcupine. So be careful. But you see them around everywhere. They become habituated quite easily. I remember in the Eastern Cape, we had a porcupine that visited every night. I would hear its sort of quills scratching along my door as it was foraging for crumbs or all sorts of other things. So they would always live around camps. But Tristan has made his way all the way back from Arathusa. He's now back on Djuma, searching for anything really. Let's go and see if his morning, in terms of finding animals, has improved.
Well, we haven't found too many more animals, but we have found a very interesting spider. Now, I've actually never seen this spider before. It's the first time I'm seeing it. It is bright green with this long abdomen and these very long hairy legs. So I'm not 100% sure what species of spider it is. I might have to consult James, since James has been the spider expert over the last few days. I know yesterday in the tent he did all things spiders, so maybe he'll have a better idea of exactly what the spider is. But it really is quite pretty. The color of it is amazing. It's got this sort of lime green back, as you can see now that it's dropped its back, and it seems like it's busy spinning some silk. You can see the spinnerets moving at the back there, and the silk attaching to the edge of the car before it now probably descends. And hopefully it doesn't go down towards the tire, because at some point I am going to have to move, and if it does, it's going to be a bit of a problem. But isn't it beautiful? I know spiders are probably not everybody's cup of tea, but the coloration of this is really pretty. It's got this sort of very lime green color, which is quite strange for spiders. You don't often see spiders like this. And like I say, I'm not 100% sure which species of spider it is, but I will definitely go back and have a little look. So for those of you that like to take screenshots, if you can take screenshots, and then I will try and see if I can identify what spider this is. But very cool. It's been hitching a ride. It's been on our sort of dashboard for the last little bit. You can see there it is on the edge of the dashboard. So it is minute, and it's been sort of sitting there for the last, probably I'd say 10 minutes as we've been driving along. We must have picked it up somewhere in the Mulawati, because I went to drive in the Mulawati just to check if there was anything in there. And I found tracks for that female leopard that I think is the one that's with Tungana, because it looks sort of quite big, going south in the Mulawati and crossing over the main road into Little Gowrie. So hopefully she'll come back. If it means if she's using the Mulawati, then she knows this kind of area, and maybe she'll follow that Mulawati back, and we'll be able to then identify who it is. Hello, little spider. What are you doing? seems like that's the place for it to rest now. It's decided that's where it's going to rest and take it easy, which is fine by me, as long as it stays on that side of the car, the opposite side to where we are. But in terms of animals, it has been a fruitless search this morning. It has not been very easy at all. The elephants also turned south that were going towards Treehouse Dam. They went southwards into Little Gowrie and Hofmans. So it seems like Little Gowrie and Hofmans is the place to be this morning. Everything is migrating that way. And I believe the Torchwood Pride has also now been found as well in Torchwood itself, which is an apt name given that that's where they spend most of their time. So I am hopeful that over the course of today or this evening they might. So James Richard, you saying maybe a green lynx spider. Well, Richard, I was thinking about lynx spiders because it has very elongated. It could very well be. I'll try and see when I get back now and just have a little look around. But it's certainly the first time I've actually seen one here. So I'm going to go try and see if I can't find out a little bit more. But it does look very lynx spiderish, so it could very well be that. So thank you for that, Richard. I'll definitely go and have a look and see if I can't do a little bit more research on that. Right, so we're going to carry on slowly making our way back home as it's getting to that time of the day where Amanda's breakfast is calling. And while we do that, let's see where Jamie is and whether she's caught the smell of bacon and eggs yet.
Not yet. We are still a little bit too far away for the smell of bacon and eggs to reach us. We'll get there, but we're still in the sort of eastern corner of Djuma. But slowly but surely getting to that point. Now, speaking of fruitless mornings, there's something that's been bothering me all morning. It's been bugging me relentlessly to the point that I keep getting myself distracted and saying things like Mongoose don't do the same thing as Mongoose do, which didn't make any sense at all. That bird from this morning, that raptor, I'm pretty sure was not a marshal, it was a hawk eagle. And it's been irritating me trying to work out how on earth I made such a rudimentary mistake. And the only thing I can think of is it was early morning. I'm not even going to offer you any excuses. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that was a hawk eagle. How on earth I got my sizes so confused? Maybe I just needed more caffeine in my coffee. Maybe next time I'll have a double shot of coffee in my coffee. And that's perhaps the way to solve that problem. But it's been irritating me all morning, and I tried to find it afterwards to double check myself, and I couldn't. Flew onto Hoffman's. But I apologize. Mistakes happen. I think it was a hawk eagle. I think it was a juvenile. I think that's why it was on its own and not in a pair. Oh look, there's a pipe in the road. Yay, a distraction. Old water pipe. We'll come through and we'll pull it out. I can't pull it out now. It goes right underneath the surface of this road. Probably from back in the day when there were farms that needed to be supplied with water. So that's an old water pipe that's been dug up by elephants. Just in case you were wondering what that big black shiny thing was in the front of us. But a fruitless day. I found tracks of Tingana coming out of Djuma into Torchwood. I don't know where he was well, I know he was lurking around the southeastern corner, but I don't know if he was there the whole time or if he just passed through in his patrolling. And other than that, no sign of hyenas, no sign of leopards. Pretty sure they're south on Little Gowrie. Megs, with my signal playing up as it has been, I think there is a potential loss incoming. Okay, Meg says it's all good. This is good news. We'll go and check the Mulwati, see if there's something hanging out around here. Now, Anna-Marie, speaking of leopards, you want to know, how does a leopard know when another leopard has left their territory? Leopards scent mark and call constantly, and their hearing is far better than ours. Able to pick up on a leopard calling on a much greater distance than we would. So if they don't hear something calling, if they venture, because remember, if they start and then that's one way that they might figure out that a territory is vacant. I'm going to duck through Gremlin Hollow. Let's send you back over to Tristan.
Well, unfortunately, where Jamie is, the gremlins are out and about, so we are back with us, and yet still no animals. It's still quiet, and we still haven't found anything. I just checked our sneaky little Ingwe Alley, which is a road that runs along the northern side of a small drainage line, and there's often lots of little things that hang around here because of the mud wallows that we get, but alas, this morning there is nothing. I was hoping maybe a buffalo or an elephant, but no. They've decided not to be in this area today, so we'll slowly start turning our way back towards quarantine, and maybe we'll get some of our wildebeest or zebra out and about on quarantine clearings. It would be nice if they were in that area to show you guys at least something in the last little bit. But at least it's a beautiful day. There's no clouds, which is promising. As we start going towards TV, it seems like TV attracts the rain, so it's nice to see some open sort of skies and not too many clouds on the horizons, and that we're going to get nice clear weather. And like I say, there's lots of animals around us, so the potential for this afternoon is still very good. We still have a chance of seeing quite a bit this afternoon if some of the animals do move during the day, which, as we saw with Hasana yesterday, where we left him and where he ended up was quite far away, so he wasn't actually even on our property towards the sort of afternoon. So he does move around during the day, and Shongile seems to be the same, so we can try and just see if maybe they come this side this afternoon. Now we are going to, like I say, head towards quarantine and see if there's anything there, but I believe Miss McCurdy has found an animal that she is very fond of and has managed to even get a herd named after her.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Tristan. That was not the McCurdy herdie, because they ran away from me, and my herd would never do that to me, of course. There were 3 zebras, but they have now darted off into the distance, so I presume that they need a little bit of habituating. Actually, I don't know if those ones have got a chance with any habituation on foot, because they saw us from about 150 meters away and then, well, galloped into the distance. They were not having any of it, but we can't always win with animals, of course, so we shall leave those guys alone. Now we are back on quarantine. That has fallen off something, and while we're walking around, of course, if you do see any litter or rubbish, it's always good just to stop your car and pick it up. I know you can't clean up the entire world, but why not start with one piece of paper at a time? And sometimes this happens, of course, with the lodges being around here. The hyenas will get into the refuge. We have special cages that we have to put things in to keep them away from the hyenas, but every now and then their jaws are so powerful that they're able to pry open the cages and then go, well, feasting and decorating the bush with litter. So we'll pick that up. Tristan's managed to relocate the zebra before they gallop away from him. Let's go take a look.
Well, there it goes. You can just see it moving through the thickets, but obviously this zebra does not want to be seen this morning. It is decided no, it is camera shy, and off it's gone. So unfortunately for us and for Tayla, our zebra has run away again, which I suppose is how it goes. It's that kind of morning where these kind of things have been happening. I wonder if it's stopped somewhere there. I don't think we're going to be able to see them. Oh well, it's okay. We at least saw a glimpse of white behind the trees. Well, I hope you guys saw a little bit of it as that zebra ran away. It obviously is not the McCurdy herdie that used to hang around here, because they used to be very relaxed and we used to be able to get very, very close to them, and there wasn't too much of a problem. So they must be a new zebra herd in the area. So Taylor's got some work to do. She's going to have to start getting out here and getting them relaxed again and getting used to us walking around and again just driving around, really. So we'll have to try and see what we can do there. I'm sure the zebra ran from us just because of seeing Tayla on foot. Generally a zebra, when it comes to people in a car, or in a car, they would have seen quite a few, so they won't be too worried about that. It's more probably seeing somebody on foot and they're a little bit sort of uneasy and unaware of it, and it'll take time. The more we kind of walk, the better they'll get. Now where are we? In here there is a major racket going on, which are the green wood hoopoes, but I don't see them. The reason why is over here, Senzo. You see on this branch on the top right of the tree? There we go. That is why they're all making a noise, is because that is a Jacobin cuckoo that is flying away there. And so the Jacobin cuckoo obviously raids the nests of a lot of the other birds and will kick those eggs out, and so you'll end up with a situation where the other birds alarm call. And there's our wood hoopoes making the noise. They really do make a racket when they want to. It sounds like our camp when all the girls get together and start gossiping. That's how it sounds in the DRC. Well done, Senzo, for finding them. But they are very, very pretty birds. Unfortunately, when they're in the shade, they don't look that pretty. They look very dark and dull. But as soon as the sun hits them, they get these iridescent greens that come out. And they really are one of the most beautiful birds that we have out here. So I'm going to try to get my book out so I can show you what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to try to see if I can drive and find these birds at the same time. This might be quite entertaining. Wood hoopoes, where are you? Now I'm trying to find them quickly in the book, but I'm drawing a blank as to where they are in the book. Normally I'm pretty good with the Sassel book. I know roughly where they are, but there we go. Thought they were around. Okay, so this is the bird that we were looking at just now. It is called a green wood hoopoo. Sorry, Senzo, I'm going to try to get some light there because it's very difficult with the light. There we go. So go up a little bit. This is the violet one. So we're looking at this one here. Alright, so I don't know if you can see there, but there is lots of green that comes through. Sorry, I'm going to try to turn off the car so it's not so noisy. Lots of green around the sort of head and neck areas, and then down, that comes through when you get that sun hitting them. When they're in the shade, they appear black, and the reason why is that their feathers, much like the starlings, don't really have those true green pigments in them. It's more just the preening oils that are on the feathers and the way that light hits and then refracts off them that comes back at us with this bright sort of green iridescent sheen, and then the blue iridescence on the wings. But very, very cool little birds. Right, so it's time for eggs and bacon. We're going to head home, but Jamie would like to say goodbye to all of you before we do that.
I would also like to tell you what my plans are for the morning, which is to gather all of the girls together while Tristan is eating his breakfast, and we're all going to cackle loudly around him like a group of cackling wood hoopoes. I think that will definitely aid his digestive process as he goes about his morning breakfast. Honestly, comparing us to a group of wood hoopoes, indeed, it's exactly what we sound like. He's spot on. And quite a large contingent of girls as well in this camp, for which I am eternally grateful. But then perhaps I'm biased.
Me too.
Fergus says, me too, me too. Fergus, I think you might be biased too. Oh, goodness. We will have to try again tomorrow on the sunrise safari. I know, Tristan, I said it was right. Don't forget there is no sunset safari this afternoon. Unfortunately, we will be closed for rehearsals, but it means exciting things in our future. On that note, it is time to say farewell until I see you tomorrow morning on the sunrise safari. So thank you, Ferg, for your wonderful camera work and all the other things as well. And thank you to Megan and to Lou in Final Control. The biggest thank you goes to all of you. Join us tomorrow on the sunrise safari. Bye-bye, everybody.